Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be about my latest rank 5 5-star champion. Now I took him up in the middle of my Abyss runs and I didn't get a chance to make a video about it, therefore it is coming out now. But before we get to the gameplay examples and damage output examples, so on and so forth, we're going to be talking about why I decided to take him up and why I think it was actually quite a good idea. And now, first things first, every single thing that we know about Archangel, we know that he is quite a bit a champion that punches upscale, as in a sense that even a 4-star Archangel often was quite viable for many problems in variant 1 or variant 2, and so on and so forth. And I can bet that if 4-stars were allowed in Act 6, even a 4-star Archangel could provide a solution to quite a few problems. And all of that being said, I kind of feel that since the game is starting to slowly but surely shift towards the 6-stars and 6-star rank 3s, Archangel is a really solid rank up choice to pick up from 5-stars because A, he's not available as a 6-star, and B, I think he is going to keep his relevance much longer than majority of the other champions because of his kind of like unique ability to function at a lower rank and star levels for quite a long time, just like Void has, for instance, or just like Captain America Infinity War will be able to. Because unlike like champions like Corvus Glaive and many others, where it is extremely important how hard they hit and how quickly they can finish out the fight, Archangel's unique kind of abilities and aspects of it comes from him being able to passively completely heal block the opponents, shut down their ability accuracies, and still having a great damage output at the same time. So that is kind of like one of the big motivations I had finally taking up my Archangel to rank 5, just kind of like because I think that's going to be a longevity rank up for the 5-star, because I think eventually some of the 5-stars will become less and less relevant. He, however, I still think will be on the upper kind of like timescale of that. Also, I really do like the fact that he has a great and high damage output. Also, he does not rely on any specific synergies and you can always slap him in the team. And despite the counter relief, he actually does really well with suicides as well, just because the fights often are quite short. And typically when you bring him in the quest, you do not bring him in to do 10-12 fights, you bring him in to do 4-5. And he can manage that with Suicide Masteries, no problem. So I would kind of feel fairly free and lax whenever I bring him in quests, whether I do or do not have Suicide Masteries active. And now for the first fight, obviously, we're going to take a look at Realm Legends Winter Soldier. And this is a quite perfect fight for us because we have class advantage, he's not bleed or poison immune, and we're going to have a great time overall. So the main base idea, obviously, with Archangel is to spam his heavy attacks, get as many neurotoxins on opponent as possible, and then just try and maintain that high damage output. Now, if we can take a look, he's already ticking away for like 4k plus. At this point it's 6k plus with 6 neurotoxins plus all the other small kind of like bleed and poison damage. So the Winter Soldier is definitely melting away. 31 hits in, he's at 30% health already. And this video just kind of reinforces the fact that Archangel is one of the best champions to use for farming potions in Realm of Legends against Winter Soldier. So this fight was 50 hits. Realistically, it was over probably in about 45 or so, and it didn't take us long at all. Next, we're going to jump in a couple of fights in 6.3 now, I believe. I forgot, I think this is Nick Fury quest, not entirely sure. But the point is, these are really stacked 6.3 opponents, and they're going to be going down extremely quickly. In this fight, we do have class disadvantage as well, so our damage is slightly lowered. But as we can see, even with 2 neurotoxins on Green Goblin, he is melting away fairly rapidly. Now we have 5 neuros. It's definitely being melted here quite heavily. Now I think I'll make a small mistake somewhere here towards the end, but I'm going to get saved by that Quake Await synergy. Yes, here I wanted to go in for a combo, but he dropped his level 2. Luckily, that synergy saved me here. And yeah, 30 hits, and the fight is pretty much over. And also, Archangel definitely benefits of a very kind of simple and straightforward playstyle. For most part, you just want to make sure opponent drops a couple of hits in your block, after you have dropped some of your own heavies and placed some bleeds on your opponent, and everything kind of revolves around having as many bleeds on opponent as possible, and then just kind of like converting bleeds and poisons into neurotoxins. Now, it is slightly RNG reliant. Occasionally you can get unlucky with your heavy attacks and it will take you a while to get some bleeds going, but typically you always do. And here we can see that still, even though Bishop is not a perfect counter for Archangel, just because he can get rid of those bleeds, he's still putting in a great amount of work. We are kind of trying to utilize our stuns from neurotoxins expiring, chain the special attack from our heavy attack, and the fight is pretty much over again in like 30 hits or so. So opponents are dropping incredibly fast, and these are 300k plus opponents from 6.3, the most stacked story content that we have available to us currently, and being able to close out the fights in 30 hits is just awesome. Here in next fight we have Spider-Man. So obviously Archangel is also an excellent counter to all of the Spider-Man because none of them are immune. And yeah, you reduce their ability accuracy, therefore you reduce the chance that they will evade, and typically those fights end fairly quickly for Archangel, as we are about to see here. So currently we have 2 neuros active already, so his ability accuracy is reduced by 60+%. Now 3 neuros, it's like 97 I believe at sig 100 Archangel. Each neurotoxin reduces opponent's ability accuracy by 32.5% I believe. Ideal sweet spot where you want your Archangel to be at is 33.4%, because that kind of means that 3 neurotoxins completely shut down all opponent's abilities, and that's kind of like the perfect place to be on. There's no real benefit above that, to be honest, for the most part. And yeah, 36 hits and the fight is over. And now we're gonna jump in and 6.13 I think, or 4, just to check out a couple of fights here, because these opponents are slightly less healthy, and I initially just wanted to do a couple of fights here, but we're gonna end up doing pretty much the entire path with Archangel. And so this Rhino has aspect of War Node as well, and it's kind of funny, but we're gonna completely ignore it, because at this point Rhino has 4 neuros active already, so we saw him drop a special attack and no unstoppable triggered. So Archangel's neurotoxins are so potent they can also shut down nodes themselves, so on and so forth. Not to mention the fact that the fight is over in 30 hits in Act 6. So that is a definite kind of like good result there for our Archangel. We're going to jump on to the next teleporter. I didn't want to face off against that Void because I do run Suicide Masteries, and that would likely be quite painful for me. But now we're up against Gamora. And I definitely must admit that it is a great amount of fun also to kind of absolutely shred through opponents with Archangel, where you can do so. If opponent doesn't have any immunities, then the fight is pretty much in the bank and it's not going to be a long fight. As you can see here, 2 heavies in, she's already at like 70% now, or 3 heavies in, or whichever, but the fights do not last long at all. We're dropping our level 1, and at this point she's pretty much dead. And I never had an Archangel that was like ranked to the top of our current possibilities, and definitely kind of makes me happy to use him. It's fun, it's great, it's quick, and I do believe that I will be using him quite a bit in my random questing, so on and so forth, because as I mentioned before, he does need a specific synergy team around him. He can do well with or without suicides for X amount of fights, and he finishes these fights out extremely quickly, and he's also one of those champions that can potentially make extremely difficult fight extremely simple. Just shut down opponents' healing, shut down their ability accuracy, and it's kind of like all in the bank there, right? Even here again with class disadvantage, 20 hits and that Yondu is pretty much down, and obviously those extra openings from opponents getting stunned are always helpful. Fairly simple gameplay, definitely enjoyable, and that pretty much is why I ranked up my Archangel finally. So basically, to sum it up, and before we get to it, I will actually end up dying in Loki fight. It's going to be kind of simply because I run out of health because of the global node. The degen is going to get me, but the fight was going fairly smooth, and even at 20 hits, we managed to get that Loki like halfway down. But now that all being said, kind of like the final thoughts, again, a recap of the video, if you will. The reasons why I did decide to take up Archangel is because mainly I think he's going to be a rank up that's still going to be useful for a long time in future, even past the point where we have many rank 3 6 stars, and that is pretty much what we primarily use on, because of experience. Even a 4-star Archangel was capable of dealing with several problems in variants. So I kind of expect the same case to be eventually with 5-star, when for most part nobody is going to use 5 stars anymore, and we're gonna get to the 6-star rank 4s, so on and so forth. I think a maxed out 5-star Archangel still will have his uses, so I think in a long term that definitely will be worth it. And even now currently he is a champion that fits me quite well, that I can fit in many different teams and many different setups. He doesn't need specific synergies. I can comfortably run him with or without suicides, and he answers a set amount of problems relatively easily. So that was pretty much my reasoning for the rank up, all in all, and that will kind of pretty much do for today's videos. If there are any kind of like specific matchups where you would like me to test out Archangel, such as nodes of acid wash or some enhanced bleeds or whatever, do let me know. I will try my best to accommodate. But all of that being said, that is pretty much it for today's video. Do leave a like, do leave a comment, let me know what you think. What do you think about Archangel and having him ranked up? And if you do enjoy what you see here and the damage he puts out, do not forget to share the video with your friends, share it with your alliance mates, share it with whoever might be interested. And hey, you know, hit all the buttons, skip the bad ones, hit the good ones, and hopefully I am going to catch you guys very soon. See ya.